Caution. This video won't let you sleep peacefully tonight. What if the scariest thing you'll ever encounter is waiting for you while you sleep? Just how vulnerable are we to ghost attacks while sleeping? On the 26th of October, 2019, this woman was sleeping soundly in bed when things suddenly took a turn. She was stunned to wake up to a destroyed room as if some hurricane hit her bedroom, so she decided to review the footage from her surveillance camera. She was left horrified after witnessing the footage. The footage sent chills down her spine. She froze in fear. Around 3 a.m., the door of the room opened by itself, but that wasn't all. One could believe that the door opened by the wind, but all the windows were locked. There was no possible way that some natural force had done that. It was something paranormal, something sinister that wouldn't let her sleep peacefully at night. What happened next was even more horrifying. One after another, things started falling from the shelf. The frame on the top of her bed was shaking, as if some invisible force was trying to wake her up. All of a sudden, her blanket was thrown away. Something sinister was trying to wake her up. She didn't know, but anything could happen to her during sleep. This was no ordinary night. Something dark and unseen had invaded her safe space, leaving her terrified and sleepless. This is just the start, as this next footage will not let you fall asleep. On the 14th of March, 2021, a bedroom poltergeist attack was caught on camera. He was sound asleep when it happened, deep in the silence of the night. Then, out of nowhere, a strange black orb drifted down from the ceiling, as if it had a purpose, and it was quite clear.
Hi guys, hope you're all well. So, this is another shocking video. I'm attacked again by the poltergeist. I'm in bed sleeping when what looks to be a black orb comes down from the roof and flies directly into the lamp, causing it to shoot across and hit me in the head. That's a solid, heavy glass lamp. It hurt at the time and left a lump on my head for a few days. Please let me know what you think.
This family has been facing such paranormal activities for quite some time now. It hovered above him for just a moment, and then, without warning, shot straight into the lamp by his bedside. The heavy glass lamp, solid and unmovable, just got smashed into his head. Who was the sinister ghost behind it? The blow jolted him awake in shock and pain, a dull ache spreading as he touched the lump already forming. He might have a concussion now. In the dim light, he could still see the shadowy orb swirling around before it faded, leaving an eerie stillness in the room. This wasn't the first time he'd felt this presence, but he'd never seen it act so violently. It was like it wanted to make sure he knew it was real, and it was watching him. Later, the bruise on his head reminded him of that chilling night, and he couldn't shake the feeling that whatever lurked in his room wasn't done with him yet. Moving on to our third eerie sleep encounter. On June 1st, 2012, a real ghost was caught on video. It was supposed to be just another peaceful night. A 4-year-old girl lay in her bed, tucked in and fast asleep. The room was still, but then something cold and dark moved into the room, unseen. hovering near the bed as if studying her. Without warning, her small body was tugged down, her blanket slipping away. The pull grew stronger, and her legs slid off the edge of the bed, her body following helplessly as if an invisible hand had gripped her tightly. She didn't even have time to scream before she was dragged to the cold floor. The footage later showed the terrifying scene, her small frame being pulled and no one in sight to explain it. Her parents found her crying, shaken but unharmed on the floor. They searched the room but found nothing, no sign of anyone else. Only the empty silence in the air, as if whatever had come had already vanished into the darkness, leaving only fear behind. With that being said, let's move on to our fourth paranormal encounter. On September 14th, 2013, real ghost footage of a ghost choking a sleeping woman. On a quiet night in Missouri, she lay asleep, unaware of the darkness creeping closer. Suddenly, an invisible force pressed down on her neck, squeezing tight. Her eyes flew open, but she couldn't breathe. She tried to scream, but no sound escaped. The footage showed her thrashing in bed, hands clawing at her throat, but there was no one there. Only a dark figure flickering nearby, barely visible, yet disturbingly real. Whatever it was, it left its mark. Moving on to our next eerie night paranormal encounters. On April 3rd, 2017, it was around 3 a.m., and the room was dark and silent when this man found himself frozen in bed, trapped in sleep paralysis again. Just before his eyes opened, his breathing was shallow, his body locked, and he sensed something watching him. He claimed, as he blinked awake, strange, shadowy silhouettes filled his vision. Some stood still, like dark statues in his room. Others seemed to shift closer, inching towards his bed. With his heart pounding, he finally broke free, breathing hard and checking his phone for the time. But even after waking, he couldn't shake the feeling that those shadows had been real, as if something was still wandering there, watching. How terrifying it must be for this man. Could you ever sleep with paralysis, knowing that something paranormal is watching you over? With these questions still tingling our minds. On March 10th, 2020, around midnight, he was asleep next to his wife. Just another quiet night. But suddenly, she got up in bed, her eyes dark and empty, as if something else was staring out from her body. Her husband claimed that she never woke in the middle of the night and never moved like this. And then, without even touching him, she made his blanket slide off his body, just with the strange, piercing look in her eyes. Her movements weren't normal at all. She was definitely possessed at this moment by something sinister that was not going to leave them anytime soon. She then walked out of the room with an eerie, unnatural calmness. He got awake at this point, confused and frightened, following her. But as he stepped into the hallway, something unseen pushed him back with force, like an invisible wall holding him away. Frozen with fear, he looked down the hall and saw her glance back at him. Her eyes were completely black, like no human eyes he'd ever seen. Will he ever be able to recover from this? Moving on to our next eerie footage. On March 8th, 2018, during late at night, everything seemed calm. She was sleeping peacefully in her bed, unaware of the strange things happening around her. Then, the bedroom door creaked open slowly, as if some invisible hand was pushing it. Little did she know, it was going to be one of the most horrifying nightmares for her. A series of loud crashes and bangs filled the room, shattering the silence and waking her in an instant. Heart pounding, She ran out of the room, too scared to stay. But after a while, she crept back, hoping it had all stopped, maybe even imagining it was just a nightmare. She tried to go back to sleep, but the moment she closed her eyes, the noises started again, louder and more intense, as if the presence was angry that she had returned. Was it a restless spirit haunting her, or just an elaborate trick? The footage, caught on her camera, left everyone questioning if something truly dark had visited her that night. With that being said, let's move on to our next paranormal footage. On the 24th of April, 2021, he had gotten used to strange things in his house, but this night was different. The camera was set up as usual, capturing the eerie quiet of his bedroom in the dead of night. Suddenly, a large, dark shadow drifted down from the left side of the screen to the right. It moved with purpose, brushing against the camera, as if it wanted to be noticed.
Hi guys, hope you're all well. So this is another crazy clip, this time in the bedroom. It starts off with a shadow coming from the left of the screen and going all the way to the right. But what's crazy about that is it moves the actual camera. Now the camera is on top of the wardrobe on a mini tripod, so how that happened, I've no idea. The shadow moving across follows a lot of banging noises. It sounds like some cans have been knocked over. Then a small shadow appears at the bottom right of the screen, comes across to the left, raises up, stands there for a few seconds, then fires off very quickly. I see a white orb in this video, and there's just generally lots of banging, knocking in the bedroom, and I'm assuming around the house. Please let me know what you think, guys. Cheers.
Then, the air filled with strange noises, whispers and faint knocks, each one growing louder. The shadow came back, moving toward him, its figure darker and heavier this time. It stopped near his head, looming there, almost like it was watching him sleep. Just as quickly as it appeared, it vanished into thin air. He claimed these chilling encounters had become part of his life. The shadows, along with the sounds and the feeling of being watched, all happened regularly, especially at night. Moving on to our ninth footage that is going to keep you awake tonight. On the 5th of January, it started like any other night. These friends were sleeping soundly in a silent and empty room, but around midnight, the door slowly opens on its own. The air turned cold and heavy, as if something dark and sinister had entered the room. Then, without warning, his legs started to rise, lifted by an invisible force. In the blurred footage, you can see his body being pulled upward, his feet raised just above the bed. He didn't wake up at first, but his legs were held, twisted slightly, as if something was studying him, testing its control. Seconds later, the grip released him, and he dropped back onto the bed. He was awake now. The room was still again, but it felt haunted. The question remains, who or what was in the room that night? With these unanswerable questions, let's move on to our last scary footage. On the 7th of May, 2022, a man decided to record himself while sleeping. The only reason for doing that was his sleep paralysis. He wanted to observe what happens to him during sleep paralysis, as he lives alone and fears that it won't bring him serious consequences. His choices were about to leave him speechless. As this video was premiered live on YouTube, there aren't any doubts that what's happening was scripted. He decided to go through the clips again and see if anything was around him. Well, what he found was unexpected. Scary as it looked like. A person notices what's wrong happening with him during sleep paralysis and ends up witnessing something paranormal. Sleep paralysis demon it is, nothing else suitable for this eerie creature covering his head. As we lay in our beds, vulnerable and unaware, the darkness around us might not be as empty as we think. These terrifying encounters show that when we sleep, we're not truly alone. Ghosts, shadows, and unseen forces watch over us, waiting for the perfect moment to make their presence known. And once they do, there's no escaping the chilling reality that they are always just a breath away, lurking in the shadows, ready to attack humans. For more videos like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button and like this video. Comment below which case you find the most terrifying, and don't forget to press the bell icon for future notifications.